When she goes silent, no calls, no texts, you start thinking you're being rejected. You check your phone more than you'd like to admit. You replay the last conversation, the last moment, trying to find what went wrong. But here's something most men don't realize. Silence doesn't always mean you're being pushed away. Sometimes it's something much deeper and far more dangerous. You don't need a message to know your worth. But ask yourself, how many times have you given that worth away just because she went quiet, because she stopped showing up, because her energy shifted? We've all been there. You feel the change in her tone, the space in her replies, the way she suddenly has a lot going on. And instead of standing firm, we start to bend. We chase, we overthink. We try to fix something that was never ours to carry. If you're feeling stuck right now, confused, questioning, wondering why she's gone cold, this video will give you the kind of clarity no one ever says out loud. Not your friends, not your family. Because most people tiptoe around the truth. Not every woman deserves your loyalty. Not every silence deserves your energy. And not every relationship deserves to be saved. As men, especially those of us who lead with purpose and emotional depth, we crave connection. But we also need discernment. It's not enough to ask, do I love her? We have to ask, is this love healthy? Is this woman helping me rise or quietly tearing me down? So if you're ready to stop guessing, if you're tired of shrinking just to keep her close, if you're done trading your dignity for temporary attention, then this video is for you. And by the time we finish, you won't just understand why she went cold. You'll understand why you no longer need to care. Let's begin. 1. Don't let her silence disconnect you from yourself. I want you to picture this. You're sitting alone in a quiet room, soft lighting, no notifications, no reply from her. The message you sent still hasn't been read, or worse, it has been read, but there's no response. And now, something in you starts to shift, not because she's silent, but because her silence is stirring up something deeper inside you. Have you ever felt that? I've worked with a lot of men in their 40s and beyond, men who are experienced, accomplished, grounded in their values. But all it takes is one silent stretch from a woman, and suddenly they lose touch with themselves. They stop feeling motivated to work out. They drop the goals they've been pursuing. They sit for hours overanalyzing things that were never even said. But you know what? Silence is not an accusation. It's not proof that you're not good enough. It's just a space. And that space, if you learn how to look at it right, can be priceless. Stoic philosophy taught me this. Every signal from the outside world is a test of your inner world. Are you reacting, or are you returning to yourself? Are you still walking your path, or have you put everything on pause, just waiting for someone to come back? That moment she doesn't text back, doesn't say anything, disappears for a bit. That's the exact moment to ask yourself a bigger question. Am I still showing up for me? That's not a romantic question. That's a question of strength. 2. If she comes back, you're still the one in charge of your emotions. I want you to picture this. After a few days, maybe even a few weeks of silence, a message from her suddenly pops up on your screen. Hey, I was thinking about you today. Or maybe it's just a random meme like nothing ever happened. And your heart, if you're being honest, might skip a beat. Part of you wants to jump right back into the conversation. Another part of you feels angry, disrespected. Now you're standing at an emotional crossroads. One side is the longing to reconnect. The other is pride that feels bruised. I've seen this happen over and over again with seasoned men. They think when she comes back, they have to decide forgive or punish. But through Stoicism, the answer becomes simpler. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to stay rooted in yourself. You don't need to text back like you've just been rescued. You also don't need to go cold just to teach her a lesson. You simply do what you've been practicing during her absence. Live with calm. Set boundaries. Stay emotionally independent. I once told one of my students this. If you've used that time to grow to become a man you respect, then you don't react to her message. You choose how to respond. Something like, "I've been working on some new things lately. Hope you're doing well." Simple. Sincere. Not cold, but not needy either. Because the real attraction isn't in what you write. It's in the energy that says, "I didn't need that message to feel whole." When you don't hand over your emotional power just because someone returns out of nowhere, you don't just keep your dignity. You own it. 3. Silence is sometimes a test of emotional strength. I want you to think back to the last time someone suddenly stopped communicating with you. No reason, no explanation. She didn't text back. She didn't call. And you felt like you were left hanging in the middle of a story with no ending. And the hardest part wasn't the silence itself, it was not knowing what to do with that silence. Ever felt that way? I'm not saying this so you blame yourself. I'm saying it so you understand something important. Sometimes silence isn't rejection. It's a test. Not a test she's consciously giving you, but one that life gives, that comes from the deep instincts of the female psyche, and from situations you simply can't control. I worked with a man in his 40s, a former military training officer. He told me I could stay calm when real bullets were flying past me in combat. But I almost lost my mind over one text she didn't respond to. That's a powerful confession, because emotions, if not managed properly, can shake you harder than any physical threat ever could. From an evolutionary psychology standpoint, women often subconsciously seek someone who makes them feel emotionally safe long term. And sometimes that's tested not through words, but through how you respond when they pull back a little. Not to hurt you, not to play games, but to see. Can you stay grounded when I'm not there? And this is where Stoic philosophy becomes your compass. You don't chase, you don't panic. You sit with yourself and let your calm speak for you. Because a truly strong man isn't the one who controls others. He's the one who doesn't let others control his emotions. 4. Come back to yourself instead of waiting. I want you to picture this. You're sitting alone, eyes on your phone. You're not texting, you're not calling. But in your mind, you're still waiting. Every little vibration makes your heart skip. You check her online status. You start guessing when she was last active. And then, you realize a whole day has passed and you haven't really lived it. You were just waiting. I've met so many men like this in their 40s, 50s, men with stable lives. But all it takes is a few days of silence from a younger woman, and suddenly their entire inner rhythm collapses into chaos. Not because they're weak, but because they've forgotten something crucial. Your attention is the most valuable asset you have. And when you pour it into someone who doesn't respond, you're draining the energy right out of your own life. Stoic philosophy teaches this. Whatever's outside your control is not worth losing your peace over. So instead of asking, "Why isn't she texting me?" ask, "What part of my life am I neglecting right now? What project have you left half finished? How many workouts have you skipped? What passion have you abandoned because your mind's been orbiting someone else. I always tell my students, when she's not showing up for your life, you show up for yourself, not to prove anything, but to truly live again. And when you come back to yourself, when you care for your body, your mind, your mission, you don't just move beyond the waiting. You become more magnetic than you ever were when you were trying to impress her. Because a man who's moving forward can never be held back by someone else's absence. 5. Silence isn't always rejection. I want you to think back to a time when someone went silent on you. No explanation, no clear signs. And then your mind started spinning up all kinds of stories. She must not like me anymore. What did I do wrong? Did I just get rejected without anyone saying it? Ever found yourself lost in that maze? I've heard hundreds of experienced men tell me the same thing. The silence made me feel invisible, and I get it. But I also want you to hear this. Silence isn't always a rejection. Sometimes she's not quiet because she doesn't care. She's quiet because she's struggling with herself. She might be tired, overwhelmed with work, going through emotions she can't even name. Or maybe she just needs space, like we all do from time to time. In gender communication studies, there's a clear difference. Men often see communication as a transaction. Women tend to see it as emotional connection, and when a woman feels overloaded, she'll often pull back, not to shut you out, but to reset something inside herself. Stoicism teaches us, don't label what hasn't been said. Silence doesn't always mean it's over. Sometimes it's just a pause. And that pause doesn't require your anxiety. It just asks for your calm. I once told a student who was panicking over a message left unread. Maybe she's silent for her own reasons, but your peace is still your responsibility. And that is real strength. Not needing to understand everything, not trying to control everyone, but being okay, even when you have no answer. Because sometimes silence is just a chapter break, not the end of the story. 6. Responding with stoic strength to uncertainty. I want you to picture a simple situation. You send a message, not long, not overly emotional, just a sincere check-in. Then an hour goes by, then 5, then a whole day. No reply, and your mind starts spinning the usual loops. Did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? Is there someone else? Sound familiar? We're wired to fill the silence with worry, because most men were never taught how to sit still with uncertainty. But Stoic philosophy offers you another choice. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you that disturbs you, it's how you respond to it." She didn't reply. That's not the problem. Your anxious reaction, that's what needs your attention. The Stoic man doesn't chase after answers. He sits with himself. He feels the emptiness, but doesn't let fear rush in to fill it. He acknowledges the discomfort, then takes a deep breath and lets it go. I once told a friend in his 50s who was spiraling after being ghosted right after a promising date, the moment she goes silent is not the time to act. It's the time to ask yourself, how much control do I still have over my emotions? And that, my friend, is real strength. Not pretending to be cold, not bottling up your feelings, but knowing exactly what you're feeling and still choosing not to let those feelings run the show. Because in the end, a grounded man isn't the one who has all the answers. He's the one who doesn't panic while he waits for the answers to come. 7. The more you chase the silence, the more you lose your value. I want you to be honest with yourself for a moment. When she starts going silent one day, then 2, then more, have you ever fallen into that loop? You send one more message, then a light-hearted meme, then a quick, "Hey, just checking in." No big deal. But let's be real, it's never just that. Beneath those little actions is a bigger fear. Is she still thinking about me? I'm not saying this to judge you. I've been that man, and I've worked with many strong, successful men on the outside. They've got it all together. But inside, they lose their footing over one thing, chasing silence. And here's the painful truth. The more you chase, the farther you drift from yourself. The more you try to pull her back, the more you lose the steadiness that made you attractive in the first place. In psychology, this is called reactance. When you push into someone's space, even with good intentions, they instinctively pull back. Not because you're a bad person, but because the energy shifts from calm and grounded to anxious and uncertain. She no longer sees a man who knows who he is. She sees a man who needs to be reassured. And in that moment, you're no longer the center. You've become the one trying to earn your place again. I often tell my students, when someone starts going quiet, don't fill the silence with words. Let your absence carry weight too. Not to play games, but to re-anchor your value in her eyes, yes, but more importantly, in your own. Because the truly magnetic man isn't the one who always shows up. He's the one who dares to be meaningfully absent. 8. Silence is a chance to grow stronger. I want you to look at silence from a different angle, one that most people don't even consider. Instead of seeing it as a lack, a retreat, a sign of rejection, try seeing it as an invitation to return to your inner world, to observe yourself when you're not being noticed, not being comforted, not constantly validated by someone else. I've seen men strong in their careers, confident in crowds, suddenly shrink inside when one woman goes quiet. And I've told them this. She's not what's making you weak. Her silence is just showing you the place you've never trained. Silence isn't the enemy. It's a mirror reflecting your resilience. It gives you the chance to stand firm without applause, to keep walking your path without needing anyone to promise they'll walk it with you. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't control whether she texts you back, but you can control how you use that silence to become stronger. Ask yourself, if no one calls me today, if I get no messages, no validation from anyone, can I still live this day fully? If the answer is, I'm not sure, then congratulations. You just found your next growth edge. And if you're willing to step into that silence, not afraid, not bitter, just quietly training, then sooner or later, you'll come out of it with a kind of strength no words could ever give you. Because the strong man isn't the one who gets power from others. He's the one who knows how to reclaim it from the very moments he's left behind. Before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with something to reflect on. Silence isn't your enemy. It only becomes a problem when you let it define your worth. As a seasoned, grounded man, you don't need anyone's approval to know you matter. You don't need a response to feel whole. What you need is that unshakable steadiness inside. If this video touched something in you, if it made you pause and look a little deeper into yourself, help me share this message. Hit like. Send this video to a brother who needs to hear these words. And don't forget to subscribe so every week we can meet again, right in the middle of life's chaos, to return to what matters most. A man's strength, rooted in stillness. You can also drop a comment below. I always read them, I always appreciate them, and I'd love to hear what's going on inside your mind. I'll see you in the next video. Stay grounded, stay solid, and live like a Stoic.